Emily had always been passionate about gardening. She spent most of her days tending to her flowers, watching them bloom and flourish under her care. Her garden was her pride and joy, and she took great pleasure in nurturing each plant to its full potential. One day, while pruning a particularly stubborn rose bush, Emily noticed something strange. As she cut away the dead branches, she saw that one of the stems was glowing with a soft, ethereal light. Curious, she reached out to touch it, and as soon as her skin made contact with the stem, a flood of images burst into her mind. At first, Emily thought it was just her imagination playing tricks on her. But as the memories continued to flow, she realized that they were real. She saw herself as a child, playing in the garden with her siblings. She saw her parents, smiling and happy, surrounded by their own garden full of flowers. And she saw moments from her past, memories she had long forgotten. Over the next few days, Emily discovered that this was happening to all of her flowers. Each bloom would glow with a soft light, and as she touched it, she would be flooded with memories from her past, present, or future. It was as if her garden had become a repository for her own thoughts and experiences. At first, Emily was thrilled by this discovery. She spent hours exploring the memories of each flower, reliving moments from her life that she thought were lost forever. But as the days passed, she began to realize that these memories were not just fragments of her past. They were also glimpses into the lives of those around her. She saw her neighbors, who had always seemed so ordinary and unremarkable, but were in fact full of hidden stories and desires. She saw her friends, with their struggles and triumphs, and even her enemies with their motivations and fears. And as she touched each bloom, Emily felt a sense of connection to the world around her that she had never experienced before. But not all memories were pleasant. Some were painful and dark, and Emily found herself struggling to cope with the weight of them. She saw moments of sorrow and loss, of joy and heartbreak, and she wondered how she could possibly hold onto these emotions without becoming overwhelmed. As the days turned into weeks, Emily began to realize that her garden was not just a collection of flowers, but a reflection of herself. Each bloom represented a different aspect of her personality, a different memory or experience from her life. And as she tended to her garden, she found that she was tending to herself. She started to see the world in a new light. She realized that every person and every place held secrets and stories that were waiting to be uncovered. And she began to explore these memories, touching each bloom with care and curiosity. The garden became a sanctuary for Emily, a place where she could retreat from the world and find solace. But it also became a catalyst for growth, as she confronted her fears and desires and learned to accept herself in all her complexity. As the seasons passed, Emily's garden continued to grow and evolve. The flowers bloomed and withered, their memories changing like the wind. But the gardener remained steadfast, tending to each bloom with love and care. And as she did so, she found that she was becoming a part of something greater than herself. The memories of her garden had become a part of her own identity, and Emily realized that she was no longer just a gardener, but a keeper of stories, a weaver of memories. And as she looked out over her garden, she knew that she would always be there to nurture these blooms, to tend to the flowers that held the secrets of her own heart. Years went by, and Emily's garden became famous throughout the land. People came from far and wide to see the memory garden, to touch the flowers and uncover their secrets. And as they did so, they discovered that each bloom contained not just a memory, but also a piece of themselves. Emily's garden had become a mirror, reflecting back to those who entered it their own stories, their own experiences. And as she watched her visitors, she knew that she was doing more than just tending to flowers. She was tending to the human heart. One day, a young girl came to the garden, tears streaming down her face. She reached out to touch a bloom, and as Emily did so, she saw a flood of memories from the child's past. She saw moments of joy and laughter, but also of sorrow and loss. And as Emily looked into the girl's eyes, she saw that she was not alone. The garden had become a place where people could come to heal, to find comfort in the memories of others. And Emily, the gardener, stood at its center, tending to the flowers that held the secrets of the human heart. As the sun set on another day in the memory garden, Emily smiled, knowing that she had found her true purpose in life. She was no longer just a gardener, but a keeper of memories, a weaver of stories. And as she looked out over her garden, she knew that she would always be there to nurture these blooms, to tend to the flowers that held the secrets of the human heart.